Yo guys, TheLQ-Gaming here. Today I'm going to talk to you about dual wield Flurry Shot Mastery. This is a really important part of the DPS meta we have at the moment in DC Universe Online. It focuses on a weapon mastery combo that does a lot of single target damage on bosses, especially in elite content. That it's really handy and very useful, and it's very easy to move around, break out of, and it's really important for DPS at the moment. I really want to share with you my thoughts on it because I've not always been that strong with it until fairly recently. I've kind of refined it a little bit more, but I really want to share with you my thought processes on how I went from being a not very good flurry shot person to a competent DPS at least, and I want to show you my thoughts on this in this video. Dual wield Flurry Shot Mastery is really important for any single target precision DPS at the moment. Has been for a while. You'll need to spec into dual wield Flurry Shot Mastery, so you'll need to go to the weapons, dual wield, and have dual wield as a weapon as well in your gear. You'll need to spec all these, and then you'll need to go to bow and have your bow mastery activated as well. So you'll need to get all these activated for bow mastery, and then you'll need to activate Flurry Shot from there. So that's the one you're really going to want here. So tap, hold with your triangle button or whatever button it is for PC or other console, and you're going to want Explosive Shot Mastery as well for AoE from ranged, because that's a lot stronger now, especially post buff when we had the update with Metal Part 1. This is like your main go-to range AoE damage now. In a boss, so you could easily switch between single target and AoE with pretty good ease, which is another reason why dual wield Flurry Shot is dual wield is such a preferred power with precision DPS. First of all, I'm going to talk about a few things regarding a few tips, because it's really important if you're going to be dual wield Flurry Shot that you know a few things first before we get started properly. So first of all, make sure that you have your parsers visible, even if in your default chat from your chat. So you see the chat box at the bottom left of the screen. This is where you will have the chat. So if you go to options, you go to settings, and you go to your chat options, and you go to default, you're going to want let me go down to it, damage summary available on your chat, because you're going to want to see what damage you're doing. You're also going to want, if I go down to which one is it? Combat part, here we go, gameplay. So combat parser interval, so 10 seconds. You're going to want 10-second parsers visible in your on here, so you can see how well your damage is doing per 10 seconds. This will give you a bit more of an indication of what to aim for when you're DPSing in content, or in sparring cycle, in league hall, whatever you're doing. You don't have to necessarily do it if you're in a support role. So if you're heal, troll, tank, unless you're like a battle kind of role, it's not that important. But certainly if you're DPS and you want to DPS more seriously in content, especially elite content, this is like this is gonna help you out a lot more, making sure you're doing things properly. If you're not doing things properly, you kind of can learn from it, and so on and so forth. Another thing I'd recommend, if you're a PS4 player and you have SHAREfactory, even if you're not on YouTube, you should be recording your own footage of your content, because if you have these parsers visible and you watch back on your raid video, maybe you were DPSing in a normal raid or elite raid, you can kind of see where you done well, where you could have gone better. It's kind of you're kind of critiquing your own video and seeing what you could do to improve your own damage, your own skill level. What moments, maybe if you're really used to the raid, what mechanics there are, you can focus on, I could have done more damage here, or I could have moved around here a bit quicker, being in range a bit more. So it's definitely something that can really help you out. I'd highly recommend it. Like I say, you don't necessarily have to be a YouTuber to do that. You could just be recording just for your own independent play, and then you can evaluate your own footage and where you can go better with your damage. And that's not necessarily just for Flurry Shot. You could do that for any role or any kind of play style. If you're might DPS even, there's definitely, it helps you improve a lot more. You can kind of evaluate your own videos a lot more. The next tip I have for you is, this is quite a one that maybe not many people know about. You'll be very surprised. I mean, a lot of people watching this video are probably going to be precision DPS, maybe ones who are having a bit of trouble. But I'd say at least most of these guys are going to be using Flurry Shot Mastery with dual wield. And out of these guys, probably at least half probably are doing this and not realizing that it is a problem. So I'm flight and skimming, so for me it's pretty darn freaking obvious. But don't stay in movement mode when you are doing Flurry Shot Mastery, because if you're trying to do Flurry Shot Mastery, it just becomes more awkward. Notice I'm kind of limiting myself my damage a little bit. Like, you can't jump cancel from that angle, and my parsers aren't that great. I'm not doing that high parsers. 22k, nothing to write home about. So I mean, if I'm doing that in a raid and I'm not realizing, I'm losing so much damage. I mean, you know, this is, I mean, for me, I'm flight, so I'm not going to make this mistake. But if you're, say, super speed, which I imagine most of you watching this video are, it's less obvious to know when you're in movement mode and when you're not. So if you're in movement mode and you're flurry shotting, don't, you know, even if you're that player, maybe they started the boss fight and you're outside the map and you had to quickly run in and start a rotation to try and catch up with everyone. Maybe you're that player, I don't know. But make sure when you do that you're out of movement mode before you start doing a rotation, because otherwise you're going to lose damage so quickly. So that's just another point. So make sure that you are not in movement mode, especially if you're super speed acrobatics. For me, flight, it's pretty obvious, so I should never be in movement mode when I'm DPS anyway. If I do accidentally go into movement mode, I can easily go out of it because I know it's pretty clear. So definitely something to bear in mind. My third point to you is monitor your hits on your parsers. So if I try and do, I don't know, I get Robot Psychic out because most prec DPS will have Robot Psychic. So if I start a rotation, now this is just a rough rotation. I've had better passes than this for sure, but got quite a nice passes there. Okay, so this is a few rough passes. So I got a few 30k's, close to 40k. I had one quite high 48k passer. My overall point I'm trying to make to you is, I'll just turn my motorcycle off for a minute. Okay, so my overall point to you is watch your hits. So you see on the passes you've got the damage 10 seconds and you've got all your passes there. Okay, so let's say for example the top one here. So I had just under 37k passer. I had 43 hits, which is okay. I mean, I ideally want to be aiming for 45 to 55. If you could do more than that, even more amazing. If you do 40, it's acceptable, but you can definitely do better. So I had 43 hits in that rotation in that 10-second period. So let's go up to that really good passer I did. So I had that 51, so I had 48k passer. I hit 51 times, which is a really nice amount to do. If you can get sort of around that roughly every 10 seconds, you're kind of on your way really. Again, it depends on your power. If you're like a power of lots of pets like gadgets or ice, then you're going to be hitting a lot more anyway. If your power doesn't have a lot of like multiple hit kind of attacks, then obviously your passes will be less, so it kind of can vary on that one. But if you're, so for me I'm water, so I'm using depth charge and bubble, both do damage, both do dots, and then I've got my robot psychic to hand. So you want to be aiming for mid to late 40s in hits or 50s if you can. Another thing to notice is when I was doing that, watch your hit combo on the screen. So if I start again, I can do more hit combos. So the little times number in the middle, you can kind of count up how your passes are going. So you want to be doing 5 every like flurry. So 4 hits with the flurry, and then like the tap range is your 5th one. And just practice doing that a little bit. I mean, okay, that was quite a rough kind of passes. My passes weren't that good in that particular thing. But I was more or less doing that just to show, just to prove my point a little bit. So I mean, even with those crits I have there, I could have easily gotten well into the 40Ks with those kind of crits, and if I had hit a lot more. It's definitely doable, but it's just something to bear in mind that just watch your hit combos. So if I try again, 9, 17, 23, just keep watching those hits. I mean, obviously there's going to be mechanics going on in raids sometimes as well, so that's something to bear in mind as well. You can't be staring at the hit counter for however long, because you're going to have to keep an eye on if there's anything going on in the boss. Obviously there's going to be times where if there's lag or whatever, you might mess up your rotation. That's fine. That's where you kind of have to keep practicing here. I mean, again, like I said, I'm just doing rough passes there, nothing to write home about too much. I could easily have gone better than this if I was really trying. But my overall point is watch your hits and your passes. Your damage is 10 seconds, so I've got 41, let's say this one, 41k parser. I hit 39 times, I should be hitting 45 to 50, maybe more. So definitely could be better on that one. But like I say, focus. See, if you watch your hits and you watch how many hits you're doing every rotation, it will really help you out, and you'll be well on your way to doing a better flurry shot there and then. Okay. Yeah, guys, just wanted to show you this from my hero's point of view. She's a Rage Prep DPS toon, not very high SB, yeah, 378 SB, quite low augments and artifacts, nothing to really write home about, but I just kind of wanted to show you this from her perspective. And obviously she's super speed as well, so there's that as well. So obviously make sure you're not in movement mode before you start doing anything like that, and then just keep practicing. Like, even if you're low level 2 and you're leveling up, keep practicing your flurry shots, make sure you have your passes visible. I'm just going to showcase this from her point of view. I mean, don't expect passes anywhere close to titles, but I just thought I'd share this as well.